Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a really big one. It's foundational for local government finance. We're talking about the Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act, Act 56 of 2003. You probably know it as the MFMA. It's the rule book for how municipalities handle public money. Billions of rands. Our mission today is to give you the essential understanding of this complex piece of legislation.
It is complex, but you're right. It's absolutely crucial. Think of it less like just rules and more like a whole system designed for accountability. It got assent back in February 2004. General start date was July 2004. Though it's interesting, some bits, like the really specific rules on debt repayment, they actually kicked in much later. But the main goal right there in Section 2 was clear from the start. Secure sound and sustainable financial management for municipalities and their entities.
Sound and sustainable. Those words really stand out, don't they? It's about setting the standards. Transparency, accountability, managing, well, everything. Cash, debt, assets.
Exactly. It covers the whole life cycle of municipal money.
So if accountability is the aim, who actually falls under this? Who has to follow these rules?
Pretty much everyone involved in that space. All municipalities, obviously. All municipal entities. And this is important. National and provincial government bodies, too, but specifically when they're dealing financially with municipalities. Section 3 lays it out. If you're involved with municipal funds, the MFMA applies to that interaction.
Okay, let's unpack this then, maybe starting with the oversight. If it's about accountability, who are the watchers? What teeth do they actually have?
Right, good place to start. Chapter 2 sets up the main overseers, national treasuries and the provincial treasuries. And their job isn't just, giving advice. They actively monitor budgets. They push for good management. They enforce compliance, especially with things like standard accounting practices, classification systems.
And National Treasury holds a pretty big stick, financially speaking. Section 5 mentions they can take appropriate steps, including stopping funds.
Yes, that's the Section 5(2)(e) power. It's linked to cooperative governance principles. Stopping funds is, it's a serious measure.
It sounds like the ultimate leverage, the sort of thing you use when things have gone really wrong.
It absolutely is. It signals a major breakdown in the municipality living up to its financial duties. That power, even just the threat of it, gives the MFMA real enforcement clout. It's more than just a bad audit report. But, before you get to penalties, the Act focuses heavily on just controlling the cash from day one.
Centralization for control, yeah. Makes sense. So every municipality needs at least one bank account in its own name. That's Section 7. And any money coming in has to go straight into that account, promptly.
And building on that is the primary bank account rule in Section 8. This is the main hub. All the big money flows, though, here. Equitable share, grants from national or provincial level, income from investments. It all has to land in this primary account. It's about creating a clear, auditable trail. No side accounts, no off-the-books transfers.
And getting money out is just as restricted, right? Section 11.
Extremely restricted. Only the accounting officer, the AO, or the CFO. Or maybe a senior finance official, but they need written permission from the AO. And they can only take money out for specific reasons. Spending approved in the budget, dealing with genuinely unforeseen and unavoidable costs, or giving refunds. That's it.
Closes the door and just dipping into the coffers.
Precisely. And that control extends to physical things, too, the assets. Section 14 puts down a really strong marker. A municipality cannot permanently sell off a capital asset if it's needed to provide the minimum level of basic services.
So the core infrastructure is protected. Things like water treatment plants, key roads, reservoirs.
Yeah.
You can't just sell them off, even if the municipality's broke.
That's the idea. Protect the essential service delivery capacity. Now, if they have other capital assets, things they don't strictly need for basic services, they can dispose of them. But there are rules. Council has to approve it in public. They have to state clearly it's not needed for basic services. And they have to consider fair market value or the economic benefit they're getting back. It's all about transparency and protecting public value.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Segment 2, budgets and debt. The real mechanics of governing. The Act seems, almost obsessed with timelines for the budget.
It is very process-driven, and for good reason. Section 15 is blunt. No spending unless it's in an approved budget, full stop. And the timeline is tight. The mayor has to table the draft budget at least 90 days before the financial year starts.
90 days. That gives quite a bit of time for scrutiny, for public input.
Exactly. Then the council has to formally approve it at least 30 days before the year begins. That's Section 24. So you have that guaranteed window. Roughly 60 days between tabling and approval prevents last-minute rushes. And Section 17 says what needs to be in the budget. It has to be realistic. It needs revenue and spending broken down by vote, plus projections for the next 2 years, and usually split into capital and operating budgets.
And the funding itself is tightly controlled too, Section 18.
Hugely important. Budgets can only be funded from 3 sources: realistically expected revenue, actual cash-backed surpluses from previous years, and borrowing. And here's the kicker. Borrowing is only allowed for the capital budget. Infrastructure, assets. You cannot legally borrow money to pay for ongoing operational costs like salaries or utilities.
Okay, now delving into debt. This is where it gets really interesting, I think, particularly the rules around short-term debt in Section 45. Why such a strict focus on paying it back within the year?
That comes from painful experience, municipalities getting stuck in cycles of borrowing just to cover running costs. So Section 45 allows short-term debt, but only to bridge temporary gaps when you know money's coming in soon. And the absolute crucial rule, this came in properly July 2008, is that it must be repaid within the same financial year. You can't roll it over, you can't refinance it into the next year's problem. And even the lenders face consequences if they knowingly help a municipality break this rule.
So it stops short-term borrowing becoming a hidden way to fund deficits. What about long-term debt, the kind for big projects?
That's covered in Section 46. Long-term debt is okay, but only for capital spending or for refinancing existing legitimate debt. And transparency is key again. Before the council votes, they have to publish details for 21 days. What the debt is for, how much, what security is offered, allows for public input.
And Section 47 adds another layer of risk management.
Yes, a very practical one. All debt has to be in rand. No indexing to foreign currency. Protects the municipality's finances from shocks in the global currency markets.
Right, keeps things predictable. Okay, let's move into segment 3. This is where things go wrong. Accountability, misconduct, penalties. The MFMA really clarifies things by defining those key types of financial mismanagement in Section 1. It's an aha moment for understanding audit reports.
Absolutely. These definitions are critical. First, you have fruitless and wasteful expenditure. This is money spent essentially for nothing, where the loss could have been avoided if someone had just taken reasonable care. Think pure negligence.
Okay. Number 2.
Irregular expenditure. This is spending that breaks the rules. It goes against the MFMA itself or the Municipal Systems Act or maybe the municipality's own supply chain rules. Unless it's officially condoned later, it's irregular. It's about process failure.
And then the 3rd one.
Unauthorized expenditure. This is the simplest, in a way. It's spending that just wasn't budgeted for, either spending more than the total budget allows or spending more than allocated to a specific department or vote, or spending on something not approved at all. Now, Section 32 seems crucial for figuring out who carries the can when this happens. It distinguishes between politicians and officials.
It does. It says political office bearers, like councilors or mayors, can be liable if they knowingly told an official to make that bad expenditure. The accounting officer, usually the municipal manager, is liable if they acted deliberately or negligently. That distinction between political direction and administrative failure is key.
And the default position is recovery, right?
Yeah.
The municipality have to try and get the money back.
Mandatory recovery. That's the rule. Unless the expenditure was maybe genuinely unauthorized but later gets officially approved, or if the council certifies the debt is truly impossible to recover and writes it off. Otherwise, they must pursue the liable person.
And it can escalate beyond just getting the money back.
Oh, definitely. Section 32.6 is clear. The accounting officer must report suspected criminal acts linked to irregular spending, things like fraud or theft, to the police.
There are also specific offenses for officials and councilors in the Act itself, Sections 173 and 174.
Yes, serious ones. Officials can face charges for deliberately or with gross negligence breaking key financial control sections. And for councilors, Section 174 makes it an offense to deliberately influence officials to break the act, or to improperly interfere with the AO or CFO doing their financial jobs. Penalties can include up to 5 years in prison or a hefty fine. It's designed to protect officials from undue political pressure.
Provides a legal shield for the administration, essentially.
Exactly. Reinforces that financial management is an administrative function, protected from unlawful political meddling.
Okay, finally, the safety net. Chapter 13, Financial Crises and Interventions. What happens when a municipality is really in trouble?
Well, the first responsibility, Section 135 says, lies with the municipality itself. Fix your own problems. If serious issues pop up, they have a duty to tell the provincial MECs responsible for local government and finance.
But at what point does it go beyond self-help? When does the province have to step in? That's the Section 139 intervention under the Constitution.
The trigger for a mandatory intervention is quite specific. It happens if the municipality shows a serious or persistent failure. Failure either to provide basic services or failure to meet its financial commitments. Section 138 gives concrete examples. Things like being over 60 days late, getting annual statements to the Auditor General, or having an operating deficit over 5% of revenue in the last year. Those are clear red flags.
And if that mandatory trigger is hit, this special unit gets involved, the Municipal Financial Recovery Service.
That's right. It sits within National Treasury. In a mandatory intervention, its main job, under Section 141, is to draw up a financial recovery plan. The whole point of this plan, according to Section 142, is to get the municipality back onto a sound and sustainable financial footing as quickly as possible.
And this plan isn't just a suggestion, is it?
Not at all. In a mandatory intervention, Section 146 makes it clear the recovery plan is binding. It overrides the municipality's own decisions on both legislation, like budget choices, and executive actions, like spending. It's effectively financial administration.
A takeover, basically. And if even that doesn't work, is there an ultimate last resort?
There is, but it's drastic. Sections 152 and 153 allow the municipality to go to the High Court for extraordinary relief. This could mean pausing legal claims against it, suspending its duty to pay certain debts for a time. Or, in the most extreme cases, under Section 155, the court could approve terminating financial obligations and distributing whatever assets are available among creditors according to a scheme. But crucially, this involves selling off all assets except those absolutely essential for providing basic services. Service delivery must continue, even then.
Wow. That really covers the entire spectrum, from daily cash handling to potential dissolution of debts. This has been a fascinating deep dive. The MFMA clearly sets up this incredibly detailed, quite rigid framework for everything financial and local government. Strict controls, serious consequences.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, you could say the MFMA is almost like the financial contract between local government and the people it serves. It's the legal structure meant to ensure money for services, water, electricity, sanitation is properly managed, accounted for, and protected. It forces that accountability.
That's a really powerful way to put it. The contract written in financial law. Okay, to leave you, our listeners, with something to think about. Consider those staggered start dates we mentioned earlier. The Act was passed in 2004, but key parts like those strict short-term debt rules only came fully online years later, even as late as mid-2008 for some aspects. So the question is, how does rolling out such a critical financial system piece by piece over several years actually affect a municipality's ability to achieve that core goal, sound and sustainable management, right from the beginning? Something to chew on regarding implementation challenges.